Hey, what's up, traders? To watch this video for, man, what day is coming up? Thursday, April 30th. Showing you this buy, gapped up today after the gap up yesterday and sold off all day, then gapped up, and which is usually a powerful setup, right? You get everyone who shorted yesterday is in trouble on the, with a nice pop up in the market here. But overall, a pretty narrow range today. We've seen that a lot. I had a very lousy morning. I took a trade in something that, kind of a low floater that I thought was going to go. Don't get me started. Anyway, I ended up the morning extremely close to my personal daily loss limit, but I kept trading, and I'm actually really proud of this. I got my real-time P&L to $92.16 loss, and believe me, I was down way more than that. So to me, that's a win. And really, generally, anything with plus or minus $200, I call a flat day. So really, this is a flat day. I'm very proud of my comeback, but still not proud of the way I started my day. And the thing is, I've been doing this decades, and I still learn lessons, right? There are times when the trades I took early this morning, there are markets where the low floaters are just ripping, especially when you get an A-plus setup, which I felt like I had. And then there are other markets, especially during the thick of earnings season, which we are, that the low floaters just don't respond. And I took it with way too much size and took a big hit early. And so, even though that would have worked in certain times, there was very little chance it was going to work today. So, my point is, you never stop learning as a trader, because even things that work well, you also know, if you've been doing it long enough, that they don't work well all the time. Everything in the market always changes, and you have to adapt. I'm going to argue that greed and fear hurt a lot of people in the market and keep a lot of people from ever being professional traders. But I would also argue that the inability to quickly adapt to changing market conditions is probably the biggest detriment to people becoming a professional trader. I know greed and fear are right up there too, but that is not talked about enough, the inability to adapt. Anyway, so people were saying like CAPR was crazy today, and it was. And just to prove to you how bad of a morning I had, this was my CAPR profit and loss. I traded it a few times today, only on pullbacks, and it was a nice little trader. Made almost $900 in that one today, and still ended up red by 90 something, just to tell you how bad my morning was, right? Anyway, I think that's all I really wanted to babble about. Let me go into the watch list. I'm going to put CREX on watch. Now keep in mind, this went from $1 to almost $4.40, and then gapped down today and sold off all day. Much lower volume. Now sometimes you get a powerful move, you get an inside red day, and then you get what I call a third day play where it just rips again. So the beauty of that is I don't just randomly jump into CREX, I'll call it, unless I get an A-plus intraday setup. So that one's on watch. I don't love this. The reason I'm focused on INO is I think there's probably a lot of shorts got into this when, I think it was Citron, don't quote me on that, came out with kind of a hit piece on it, and I think they said it was worth $1 or something. Again, don't quote me on anything. So many symbols and so many news blurbs come through my head on any given trading day that I sometimes get the symbol wrong. But anyway, I do know some house came out and talked about how this is an absolute short, and you got like kind of 3 bottoming tails right there. And so I think you might have a lot of new shorts that think it was easy money to dive in INO short on that report that was released, that you could have a nice little squeeze in this one. So if I switch to 15-minute candles, there's the high of I call this the most recent high right there around 1650. Then the next day a lower high, and then today again a lower high. But it's also kind of putting in higher lows. The first day it breaks a previous day's high or an opening range breakout right below a previous day's high, I'm going to jump in this thing because I think we might get like a little mini squeeze. So kind of a weird looking daily chart, but that's my thinking on that one. IBIO gapped up the other 2 days ago, sold off, and then again today sold off, but a much more narrow range. Be looking for, kind of an opening range breakout on that one. NAT, super strong, but then had the gap up and the reversal. Now another red day, back down to the 8 day though. I'm putting this one on bounce watch. VXRT, kind of the same thing as NAT. Really strong stock. Couple days lower on declining volume, pretty close to the 8-day. Goes on bounce watch. UAVS. I had this on watch today. And Jake H in our chat room, and I'll show you the setup, posted this through a buck. And I'll show you the setup. It's one of the setups we talk about, we teach, we talk about it all the time. So let me zoom in a little bit. There's 5-minute candles. I just showed you the daily. Yesterday, tops out at, I'm going to round up and say 99 cents. It says 98.8 or whatever. Today, early high, 98.8 again. So let's just call it a 2-day high at 99 cents. Jake H types in 2-day high break idea, which is basically if it hits a buck. And yesterday's high, and Jake typed this too, was just above at 104. So you've got the 2-day high break, and then you've got 105 breaking of yesterday's, or 2 days ago, breaking of the most recent high as another potential catalyst, literally a nickel above the $1 entry. Look at this. What a great post by Jake. And it went all the way to almost 270. By the way, I think they might have reported in after hours. Closed out after hours at 251, so it's holding up pretty well. Now, I don't want to be the guy to say, hey, look at this, it's going to go higher tomorrow. This thing, if you've been trading for more than 5 minutes, you know, is what I call stupid extended. But there are times when you can get a really nice setup, even after a day like this. So it goes on watch, and it really should be on watch for about a week after that massive move. GLOG. I like this chart. Unfortunately, I had it on watch today, and then it gapped up and really never gave me a clean setup. But back here, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, hit 547. Today hit 535, 536. So I do kind of like it over this area for a potential breakout. But keep in mind, it's been running for 2 days, which makes me like it a little bit less. TXMD, just a big breakout, strong close, massive volume, goes on watch, nothing tricky there. CAPR, already talked about the stock here. Closed at 850 and after hours went out at 819. So I would actually argue it's holding up pretty well, and we definitely want to watch that one. GALT, nice volume spike. Worth noting that this volume spike still was under 800,000 shares. So it's a thinly traded stock, but a strong close. I'm going to watch it. All right. I got to answer this phone. All right, not exactly sure where I left off, but anyway, kind of a lower volume stock. Still want to keep an eye on GALT. SM looks like an energy, probably an oil and gas play. Big breakout out of this island today, so we're going to watch for a follow-through day in that. Tesla, after hours, let me see. 871 is where it closed out in after hours. I think my Tesla whisperer friend at Daytrader Wayne on Twitter, again, killed it on this one in after hours. I watched it trade. I never took a trade in it. Again, I had to, let me see if I can find that. I had to keep my, I had to stay negative for the day. I just showed you guys. Let's see here if I can find it. I'll bring that up there. This is a summation of what I tweeted today. And again, I told you I was really proud of my comeback. Traded horribly this morning. I battled back to only being slightly red. And at that time, I was down $300-something. And to me, that felt like slightly red. But I ended up the day down whatever it was, 92 or 93 bucks. If I get green by the closing bell, I'm going to run naked up and down my street. I wasn't kidding, by the way. I was absolutely going to do that. But it would have been my third strike with the local cops. So it's probably good that I didn't trade after hours and accidentally get green. So that's where I am. But Tesla, we definitely want to watch tomorrow with that. A lot of shorts in this thing. And I think it went over 885 at one point in after hours before closing out at 871. Certainly worth watching, but it also feels really extended. But you never know. You might have some shorts absolutely caught here. NCLH, I swore I'd never buy a stock of a cruise line again. But, I mean, this strong little pop here. Big volume and a strong close. And I guess the thesis is if they're not going out of business and the world's going to reopen at some point, it's probably a bargain down here. So I want to watch that for a follow-through day. Another low-priced oil and gas play is this SBOW, which had a big 2-day run, pulled back to the 8-day and starting to curl back up. This one's super interesting. Today's high, 574. I'd like it to open under that, and then we could use today's high as a potential catalyst, a break of today's high. Then the whole number 6, and then 643. So I do like this chart a lot. Hopefully we get an A+ setup in it. because as you know, or you should know by now, I'm cash every night and look for intraday trades to make money. And then lastly, KURA, massive move yesterday, inside day to day that happened to top out right around that whole number 16. I love this through 16 tomorrow, or a possible intraday setup below that, knowing that we got a couple catalysts above. I'm going to leave it at that. We'll add gappers to this list in the pre-market, and I am going to show up with my process hat tomorrow and make sure I'm trading my process and not doing something stupid like I did today. All right, I'm done babbling. We'll see you in chat tomorrow.